Welcome to round 5 of the GreenValleyLake.com MX-5 World Tour, coming to you from the world-famous Road Atlanta, home to the Petit Le Mans, a track known for sports car racing dating all the way back to the early 1970s, and you're watching it live on the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is Brian Corwin and Bill Zahn. Also behind the scenes is Giancarlo Lindsay. We have to apologize that we've started just a little bit late here, but the cars are gridding up right now, it looks like, Brian.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting race. We just got done with Mount Panorama. Joe, it looks like our top 6, if you want to go to that right now, are going to be Sergio Mora, Thomas Szabo, Amjad Yaman, Jans Koeman, Richard Ecklund, and we got Yao Freitas in the 6th spot. Joe?
Absolutely, and this track is incredibly short and very frantic, so it's going to be an interesting one. And I have to apologize, I'm experiencing a few technical difficulties, so Brian and Bill, if you could set us off here on the start of the race.
Okay, they're on the grid, lined up, 32 sparkling MX-5s in a row, 2 lines of rows. They look like a semi-precious bracelet hanging off the nightstand drawer knob. How's that for an analogy? And it's green, and they're going down the first corner like a stampede of...
Wow, it looks like we're all having some technical difficulties here, Bill. Let's see what's going on up in the front. It looks like we got Sergio Mora, Thomas Szabo, and Amjad Yaman all pushing the issue here. Yao Freitas is back in the 6th position. He is being tracked down by Timo Tuliainen. And let's see here. They're going through the kink, and it looks like everyone's getting bunched up, and they are going for a wild ride. Joe or Bill?
We're good. We're back. And we have... as they go down into the straightaway now, as they round the corner, looking into the lead, it's going to be Sergio Mora. 2nd place is Thomas Szabo. 3rd place, Amjad Yaman. 4th place is Koemans. 5th place in that fluorescent blue Alpine Stars car is Richard Ecklund, and 6th place is Yao Freitas. That's pretty much how they were gridded. It seems like a pretty clean lap on the first lap all the way through. As we look down and we see that the leader now, Sergio Mora, is putting a little bit of distance between the rest of the pack. It looks like it's going to be Mora and Szabo pulling away, and a very, very clean first lap.
Well, it looks like we have a little bit of technical difficulties up here in the booth, folks. Sorry to bother you or for the inconvenience. I think Joe Peak is back with us now. He'll be cutting back in when he gets a chance, but right now I am watching the battle up front with Sergio Mora. He is really pulling away from the pack. This is not what I expected to see after last week when so many people were having blown engine trouble. Even today when we were looking at the practice, we saw a few engines blowing here and there, so he obviously is taking a very aggressive stance out there, just trying to get as much gap as he can, so maybe then he can relax and catch a breath and go a little bit easier on the car. Following a little bit behind him, and right now it's like about 6/10 is Thomas Szabo, and coming up behind them, leading the pack down the hill is Amjad Yaman, followed by Jan Koemans and Yao Freitas, Richard Ecklund, and Uros Jelenko. We got a lot of the faster guys back there that qualified in the quick 6, really showing their muscle as they don't want to give up space to anybody. And this is not the track that you want to really give up a whole lot of space because it's so hard to pass here. Bill, what kind of battles are we looking at right now as we come down onto the start-finish line?
Well, I'm farther back where you left off. I'm back with Uros Jelenko in 7th place and Sam McAleer in 8th. I mean, they're lined up. They're battling all the way through. What's interesting is everybody in the point standings is here today. We had to go all the way down to like 16th spot to Trevor Mack before we have anybody who's missed. They're here. And even we have the mystery man, Oki Sokenberger, running back in 9th in this new paint scheme. So it's very close. Let's go back up to the front, see how we're doing there.
Amjad Yaman, excuse me, is being chased down by Jan Koemans right now. Koemans has been very fast this season. As we were talking about in the pre-race here, unfortunately, you guys missed that conversation. We thought Jan Koemans was going to be the guy to win this race today. It looks like Thomas Szabo is having a little bit of problems and lost position to both Amjad Yaman and Jans Koeman. They climb up the hill, coming down on the dogleg of what would be turn 10B on the full track. We're running the short track today, folks. So our numbers are going to be a little different. But anyways, Amjad Yaman is leading this pack down the hill. It's very exciting here. We got Yao Freitas. He looks like he's going to be trying to make a move on Thomas Szabo. I don't think he's going to make it. He pulls back. We have a car off, Bill. Who was that?
As Koumans went wide, and he's losing position after position. He's on the grass right now. I'd say he's trying to get back on, and they're going to let him back on. Oh, he squeezes and he's squeezed off again. Koumans is fighting to recapture his spot. He's a couple more drivers going by him now, and I'd say he's going to be looking at, 15th or 16th by the time it's all done. But it's early, he can make that up, but that's a tough break for Jan Koumans. Back up in the front, Sergio Mora is checking out, boys and girls. He's got a 10 or 11 car length lead on the second place.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same battle as you are, and it looks like Jan Koumans is moving up the field very fast. What's gonna happen here? I don't really know. Sergio Mora is pulling away so early in this race. This is really gonna be in his favor. The keys to the race today, by the way, were to pit early if there was a lot of traffic. So I'm wondering how early these guys are gonna pit in. Also, you want to manage your turn one. It's going to be very conservative corner here, because if you go too far wide like we saw Jan Koumans do, it's going to be very hard to stay off that wall. And finally, if you are coming up to the S's and you think that you have enough room to pass, well, you probably don't, because as we know that the S's section of the track really narrows down, and it's very hard to pass there. Right now, I'm getting a message from our director, John Carlo Lenzi. We're going to have Kevin in the place of Joe until Joe can get his spot back. Kevin, are you with us?
Kevin will be there. I'll fill in here till he gets here. Let's go ahead, and if we can take a look back at fourth place. We got a battle going on back here. Actually, it's second place is Thomas Szabo has a little bit of lead, but really third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh place is a tough battle. It's between Yao Freitas in fourth, Eklund in fifth, Sam McAleer. Now that's a great run for him. We haven't heard much from Sam McAleer. Here's the season 3 champion. It's nice to see him back in the hunt up with the front runners. Behind McAleer is Oki Stokenberger, and then Uros Jelenko running back there in eighth. We have Thomas Hallinan has spun in the back straightaway. This is Thomas's first race back from the second. Thomas Hallinan, his first race back after his second race great finish that he had. That's going to really hurt him in the standing. And we have another spin that I'm looking at live right now that involved, it looked like Joshua Leut's nose. Tucker was involved. Jake Tucker got involved in a crash. So we've lost a couple drivers. Let's go back to you, Bri.
Yeah, speaking of coming back and new drivers and all this buzz about some of these better skilled drivers, we got Kevin O'Keefe joining us today. If you know Kevin O'Keefe from any of the other series he runs, it's very good to see a guy like him running in this series. I'm expecting big things for him. Of course, as I said that, I might have put the commentator's curse on him as he drops 2 wheels off onto that club section of the track that pulls you around from the long straight after the S's to the back straight. That kind of rounds out the short part of the track. But anyways, he dropped 2 of his tires off and lost a lot of time there. And I don't know. I think maybe this might be a little bit out of his comfort zone driving the MX-5. Traditionally, he runs the Gen 6 over in the NASCAR type series. Also, the Riley DP in the Grand Am, or the former Grand Am series, and the Corvette over at the Enduro Pro series. Bill?
Yeah, Thomas Hallinan got into Tom Rathie. Poor Tom Rathie. He's having just the worst luck this season. He started off with 2 great top 10s to open the season, and then he's just had horrible luck in the next 3 races. Hallinan and Rathie got together. I imagine they're both going to be out of the race. And back up front, let's go to third place right now as we have a really close battle as Yao Freitas is involved with Thomas Szabo, and in that bright blue car is Richard Eklund. They are battling again as Freitas goes to the inside of Szabo, and Freitas is going to take over third position. So it's now Freitas, Szabo, Eklund running 3, 4, and 5. And right behind them are 2 more cars in this 5-car battle is Oki Stokenberger and Timo Tulianen. So there's 5 cars really battling it out. Meanwhile, Amjad Yaman is a nice cushion in second place, and our leader, Sergio Mora, has checked out.
It looks like a freight train coming through here right now. Following up with Thomas Szabo, we got Richard Eklund. And I believe in front, it looks like Yao Freitas has found a little bit of room, and he is starting to pull away just a little bit up the road a little ways. We still got Amjad Yaman trying to make up that time on Sergio Mora. The last updated time I see is about 4 seconds of a lead, so Sergio Mora is definitely just showing his skill today, and that's the kind of thing we want to see, especially in this series. It looks like a little bit of loss of attraction coming down the hard braking zone down the hill. Richard Eklund took a very unopportune line and lost a little bit of time to Thomas Szabo. And right up the end, we got cars bunching up coming down the dog leg to the front straight. It looks like Timo Tuliainen and Jans Kuman, they're trying to find some room, but they're not going to get it today. Yao Freitas is starting to pull away. Hopefully he can catch up to the second place position of Amjad Yaman. And then Richard Eklund is not letting them get too much farther, as he is also starting to show some pace early in this race. This is going to be a good one. And it looks like we might have Joe Peak back in the booth. Joe, do you hear me?
I do. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. I'm not quite back yet, but I'm getting the sim booted up.
Timo just looped it. He was back in that battle of from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Timo Tulianen just looped it. And Jan Koemans is making his way back up. He's gotten through the mid-packers, and now he's back up to the top names currently running in 7th place. So we'll keep an eye on Koemans.
Yeah, right now Jan Koemans is actually running a very good lap. He's just all over the back of, let's see, who is this?
It's Oki.
Oki Stokenberger, that's right. I didn't recognize his paint job because it actually loaded up this week, Bill. Last week we had some trouble with Oki, as it appeared that someone came to his door and distracted him, and he went off into the wall at the front of the Hell's Corner over at Mount Panorama. This week I'm expecting to see Oki Stokenberger making a good run for the front of the pack. Right now he is being chased down by let's see, Jans Koeman, and right in front of them is Richard Eklund, the very fast, speedy driver here in this series, and Thomas Szabo is coming up right into the kink here. Let's see what happens. It looks like they're gonna play it safe and conservative, try and make up that time in the S's. It's a very tricky section of the track where you're going downhill, the left and the right. The front of the car gets loaded up, and it makes for a very tricky section to get it right. Right up in front of them, Yao Freitas is continuing to pull away. He is about 3 seconds behind Amjad Yaman, and I think he is going to try and make a big run here now that he's away from this pack.
Yeah, if I can slip in a quick story here. We talked about Oki Stokenberger and the salesman coming to his door. It reminds me of the story of Jan Koemans. He's racing a couple seasons ago, and his girlfriend locks herself out of the apartment. Jan's in the middle of the race, so he can't let her in. He makes her knock on the door over and over and over. Finally, during pit stops, Koemans slips out from behind the wheel, lets his girlfriend back in, slides back in from behind the wheel, and takes off without losing a beat. So I guess the moral of the story is whether you, in real world racing, if you crash into the wall, or in sim racing, if you get a frying pan to the back of the head, racing is dangerous. Back to you, Bri.
It looks like we got a couple drivers out of this race already. We got Tucker, Brian, Raffi, and Kim Vader. They're all having some troubles here, which is very, I guess you could say, unlucky for them, because last week we saw a lot of cars leaving due to the attrition factor with the very tight tracks and the cement walls. Here, it's all about getting these corners right. With a large amount of grass in the tricky corners like the kink and the S's, it's very easy to lose control. And if that happens, there's no prayer in trying to really get the car stopped, and that could result into a lot of damage.
Well, it looks like, excuse me to butt in here, guys, Richard Eklund just made an excellent pass on Szabo into the chicane, and he has slotted himself up into fourth now, so he's trying to make progress back.
Welcome back, Joe.
Welcome. I apologize greatly for all the problems that we've been having today.
Yeah, it really has been a interesting race so far today, Joe. You have missed so much in this short little time. We'll try and get you caught up here in a little bit, but right now I'm watching Amjad Yaman just running his paces. He's going through the kink section. It looks like he is down 5 seconds to Sergio Mora. I don't know what Mora ate for breakfast today, but it's definitely doing the trick. So right now he's just kind of cruising out there in the front of the pack. Same thing with Yaman. He's good 3 seconds in front of Yao Freitas, who got caught up in traffic earlier, and then about behind him by a second is Richard Eklund and Thomas Szabo. So it looks like these guys are starting to get spaced out now. I'm starting to wonder if they're going to start doing pit strategies to try and make up this time, or if they're going to try and stretch their fuel as long as possible, get that car lightened up, and then get a chance to get into a good rhythm here. And we'll see what kind of strategies play out. We'll talk about pit strategies later. Bill, what are you watching at the moment?
Okay, I'm still back. It's hard to get away from the battle here with Oki Stokenberger, and looks like Eklund and Freitas have checked out a bit, but right now it's Stokenberger who is making a move on. Just ahead of him is Stokenberger ahead. We have Koemans back in the hunt there, and Thomas Zabo. So they're battling out. Let's go back a little bit farther back if we can get the director to go back. Let's go ahead and look at. Let's go all the way back here to Trevor Mack, who is here today. He can't a late arrival. Trevor Mack back in 10th position. And right behind Trevor is Duljan Bolden. Everybody on the charts are here today, guys. Joe, how you doing? Are you with us?
Yeah, I am indeed with you. I'm looking at this battle between Mack and Boldrin, but Boldrin seems to be dropping ground a little bit through these S's. We'll have to see if he can make it back somewhere else. It definitely has been a hectic one. We were talking about Sergio and Amjad earlier. You're right about Sergio really checking out, only 13 laps in, and he's got a 6-second lead. But Amjad is the one that I've got my eye on. This is where he's really comfortable, and this is where you're going to see him shine. I mean, the reason we call him the doctor is because when you can let him play his strategy out, not have to worry about anybody else, he is just going to school these guys. And right now, he's got no one to race up in second. He can just focus on pitting when he needs to. And I would expect to see him at least in the top 5 by the end.
Now, for the viewers at home, this is a relatively short track. The lap times are about 1 minute and 6 seconds. And that's compared to when we had our race last week at Bathurst where the lap times were almost up into the 3-minute range. So lap traffic is going to be a big factor here. Now, if we take a look at where Sergio Mora is right now, the first guys that he's going to be coming up on, and maybe we can watch it when it happens, is Jonathan Kerr, who's currently running in 28th or 29th, and Ben Tucker. So we'll keep an eye on as these leaders go through the lap traffic today, Joe.
Well, unfortunately, I just saw George Fike have a spin coming out of turn 1, and that was while he was trying to catch up to a battle, and that was between Sky Willis and Uros Jelenko. That's for 13th and 14th at the moment. Uros is trying to hunt her down, and they're coming down to the backstretch. It looks like he's going to have an opportunity. He's right up on the back of her, coming towards the chicane now, Brian.
Yeah, I've been really watching this Sky Willis thing play out for a while now. It looks like Uros Jelenko is a little bit farther back than we would normally see him, but he's running a very conservative race right now. I think he's going to try and make a move here on Sky Willis coming up very shortly. Right behind them, I believe, is George Fike or Sam McAleer.
Looks like Sam McAleer, yeah.
Yeah, Sam McAleer. Excuse me. And the three of them are really throwing the cart around the track. It's very exciting to see. This is the kind of battles we'd like to see after last week when so many cars were falling out of the race due to attrition, Joe. We saw blown engines, different people hitting the wall, and just making mistakes late in the race when they might have been getting tired. And this week it doesn't seem to be the case. Now we're seeing more of a battle, as it looks like they're gonna make a move for the position here. Who do we got? We got
That's Uros Jelenko, and he just gets by Sky, and now Sam McAleer takes advantage and sneaks by her as well on through the S's. That was very advantageous. Oh, and he has to avoid a spinning Uros Jelenko, but just narrowly misses out. So Sam McAleer in one lap moves up 2 spots. I was watching that battle as you were talking. Sky was incredibly respectful with Uros. That was very close racing, but she was giving him just enough room through all his pass attempts, but doing a very commendable job at holding him back, I have to say.
Now, talking about McAleer, we saw him earlier. He was up racing with the front runners. A few laps back, he went off on the grass, maybe put it in the back end into the wall a little bit, so that's what put him back behind there, and he's going to have to work his way back up again. That's too bad for Sam. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, let's hop back up to the front because, boy, Richard Eklund, with all the progress he's trying to make, João Freitas is right ahead of him right now, and I think he's going to have an opportunity, if not this lap, very soon. I don't think he's going to be close enough coming into this chicane, but he's been hunting him down. He's been making progress, gaining bit by bit, and I'm sorry I didn't see exactly where he started. You guys might have to inform me, but I know from a few laps ago he was a few more positions down, so obviously he's got the pace.
Richard Eklund actually started in 5th position due to the ruling on the top 6 or the quick 6. So he is having a great race, just managing traffic and getting that pace up. Right now he's all over the back of João Freitas, and he looks inside, and the turn 1 decides he's not going to go for it there. As I said earlier in the keys of the race, turn 1 is very tricky. It's a little off camber, and it's very hard to make that turn just right for a pass and not lose too much speed. And like I said, if you go a little too far to the left, you're gonna go a little too far left into a wall, as there's really no way to stop the car once you get off in the grass. So it's good to see Richard Eklund using his commonsensical thinking there as he goes all over the back of Yao Freitas. Now Yao, it looks like he lost just a little bit of speed in the draft, and Richard goes on the inside. Does he have enough to get the pass? I don't think he does, and Yao Freitas is going to take a defensive line. They're going side by side onto the back straight. Richard is really trying hard to throw his car down the hill. I don't think he's going to get him, as Yao's going to break him and take the position back here. They're side by side, and Yao pulls ahead. Joe, what are we seeing behind him? It looks like Jans Koemans also trying to get into this battle. What are you seeing, Joe?
Oh yeah, Jan Koemans has the momentum. Oh, just can't quite find a way around, and he has to lift. That was a bit of a dangerous situation. There was about inches between those two cars. Coming across the start-finish line, though, it looks like Zhao is holding on to third with Richard in fourth and Jan Koemans in fifth. But Zhao is definitely holding both of these guys up. He was doing very well, though, because he positioned his car just right coming into the chicane, closing up through these S's here. And we're on board with Jan Koemans, seeing what it looks like behind this train of very fast drivers down the hill, plunging. There's a lot of elevation change throughout this course, this very short course. So let's see if he can use the draft coming up this backstretch, Bill, and start to gain.
Joe, I've watched Jan for 6+ seasons now. Don't be surprised. He doesn't like to be held up. Don't be surprised if we don't see him just forget this and dive into the pits, get that out of the way. And by the time it's all said and done, he'll come out ahead of these guys. What's interesting is Freitas was our fastest qualifier, and Eklund only qualified 5th. But the top 6 drivers were only separated by 0.2 of a second. So it's real. And as I say it, Koemans goes into the pits. And I'd like to go pick some lottery numbers now. I'll be back to you, Joe.
And I remember you were hesitant to become a commentator here, but boy, you are one of the most observant racers and commentators that I've seen. That was an excellent call there. Jan Koemans, as you said, heading into his pit stall. You'll have to keep an eye on what he does as far as tires and fuel goes. Meanwhile, back up with Richard and Zhao Freitas, freight training their way through these S's up through turns 3 and 4, now down the hill once more. Eklund hasn't made any progress, so I'm wondering if he's trying to play patient, waiting for a chink in the armor, see where he's faster than Freitas.
Yeah, I really think he is. This is a very tricky track to pass on. Right now, they're coming back onto the back straight, which has that really tough hill that we saw them try to overtake Yao Freitas earlier in the race, or the last lap even. And the problem here is not so much that the cars can't break down the hill and still turn in. It's just usually when you see cars racing here, they have the prototype style downforce where they just really get heavy into these corners. And today we have to see these guys play a little more safer because they don't have the braking power that you normally see on a hill like that. It's a very interesting battle breaking out. It looks like Jan Koemans had roughly a 17-second pit stop, so I wonder what the average is going to be, how that's going to play out. Did he pit at the right time? Is he going to come out onto an open track to race at? Right now we're looking at Richard Eklund. He's getting all over the back of Yao Freitas once again. They come down the S section. Looks like Eklund goes a little wide, but tucks back in behind him. Joe, this has been an interesting battle so far. I would be really shocked to see if they don't both go in together when they make their pit rounds.
Well, and this is where it's crucial for Koemans to be able to get some clear space on the track right now, because with these two fighting, if Eklund makes any more moves, then it's going to slow both of them down, and that's going to allow Koemans to essentially leapfrog them in the pits. No pass attempt this time up into the chicane from Eklund, and then on up over the hill once more, but he was definitely much closer between turn 1 and 2 this time, I noticed, so maybe he's getting a little antsy finally.
And Joe, the racing gods have been kind to Koemans. When he came out of the pits, he's had a clear track ahead of him. He has really no lap traffic to get to. He's 43 seconds behind Mora right now. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to jump more in the pits, but he's only 53 seconds behind Freitas, or 33 seconds behind Freitas and Eklund. So don't be surprised if he's able to do it there.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall order to try and catch Sergio at this point. Really, all they have to bank on is maybe a mistake from Sergio or possibly traffic allowing them to reel him back in. I'm still continuing to watch this battle between Eklund and Freitas. It's becoming sort of a pressure cooker here. Eklund isn't really trying to make any wild dives. He's just holding on right to the back of that red and green car and really just kind of try to make him sweat. See, he takes a little bit of a look, but he's way too far back, and he knows that. He is playing psychological games here, Brian.
Yeah, and these are the battles I love. Right now, I'm actually watching a race form out here between Timo Tuliainen and I believe it is behind him, Dujan Boldrin. These guys are going crazy. Actually, Dujan is in front of them. This is one of these good races that I've been watching here. They've been cutting in and out of corners. They've been looking left and right. They've been really showing their grit. I did not see if they went into the pits last time around, but these guys have been going at it for a while now. And it's been a very clean, respectful race back here in 9th position, Joe.
Freitas is in the pits now, so we can monitor where Koemans is. Freitas has come in.
Yes, and it looks like a few other people. I see Thomas Szabo, Oki Stokenberg. All three of these guys are in the pits together, although I don't think they're going to be able to jump Freitas unless they get a very good pit or Freitas gets a slow one, and he is actually out right now. Where's Koemans? Koemans is coming down the front stretch. I'm pretty sure he's got the momentum to get on by him.
Yeah, it's going to be close. Freitas is on the track now. Koemans has not caught him yet.
That's interesting. So Koemans actually looks like he lost time in all of that. So I wonder if Freitas short-filled a bit.
Yeah, it wasn't because of traffic and it wasn't because of lap times, but Koemans is definitely farther behind Freitas than, well, when he went into the pits, he was right behind him. So that didn't work out for him.
In fact, I'm looking at the times. Freitas did a 13-second pit stop, so he's playing with fire a bit. Bill, we've seen this before with some of the leaders. They try and get a little tricky and skip a little bit ahead and then pay the price later in the race.
You know, nobody is better at calculating the amount of fuel you need than Jan Koemans. That's quite a big difference there. Now, Koemans didn't take tires, and neither did Freitas. So we'll have to watch when we get down to the final laps. We'll have to check for a sputtering from Freitas to make sure he has enough fuel in him. As we speak, though, it looks like Koemans might be reeling him in right now anyway.
Guys, if I like to break in real fast, I've been watching this battle forming here between Joseph Aero and I believe it is Tuomas Holonen. The two of them have been trading positions back and forth for a while now. They came down the back straight. One car went left, the other went right. They passed each other. Then the next car, they come down the next corner, and then you see another switch for position. And it looks like, we got collected, and they finally go. They were racing very hard, and this is not a surprise to me to see this happen. I will go back to a replay and find out the exact particulars. Joe, tell us what happened.
Yeah, I was watching that unfold, and Aero just slightly nudged Tuomas off. And unfortunately, Tuomas got squirrely and just got the back corner of Aero. I'm not sure how we'd call that because it's a bit tough. He didn't really squeeze him off the track, but Tuomas also kind of lost control. So I don't know, Bill. That's a really tough one to call.
Yeah, that's gonna. You know, we like to give the drivers the benefit of the doubt on the incident review team, so we'll look it over. Joseph Aro is the most experienced driver on the circuit. He's raced in almost every race except for maybe 3 or 4 in the history of the series. But he also is aggressive, and he's had to serve a penalty once or twice in his career. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, we were mentioning Koemans a little bit earlier, trying to catch up to Freitas, but doesn't. I guess he's made up a bit of a time from what I'm looking at, but it's not quite significant enough yet. And they've got Kevin O'Keefe between them, and he seems to be kind of holding position. Now, he's a newcomer to this series, although we're familiar with him from other series, the GSRC broadcast, Bill. But he's already way down in 29th place, so I guess I might have missed an unfortunate accident for him early on.
No, he had trouble. He started back in the grid. I don't think he put in the. I think the talent level might have caught him by surprise here, and he's not up to. He's in that. If you're watching on TV right now, Koemans is in that black Speedmaster car, and Kevin is in that solid red car as Koeman gets by him now, and now he has Freitas ahead of him in his sights again.
Well, in the meantime, Sergio Mora has pitted, and he's exiting right now, so let's see where he's going to come out. Where's Amjad Yaman? Amjad pitted at the same time, so our top 2 guys were in together, and they're out together, but Amjad now has João Freitas coming up behind him. This is effectively for second place. He's got the momentum, but he's got a break for turn 3, and now it's a straight-on battle between these guys with the pit stops out of the way, Brian.
Yeah, it looks like João Freitas is really throwing down some good laps here, good solid laps. He's making himself look really big in the back of Amjad's mirrors here. It looks like Amjad got a better exit coming onto the back part of the short course in that green Child's Play car, but João Freitas is not going to let him go easy as he is using that draft, and he is making up tenths of seconds, and it's very visible. Right behind him, we got Jans Koeman coming up very tough into the braking zone. He's going to try and brake a little deeper than both of them, make some time there. And it looks like the three of them are going to be having another epic battle for me as Yao Freitas is all over the back of Amjad Yaman. It looks like Freitas is not going to make the turn. He went a little wide, but he was unable to get any ground on him. So they're going to tuck back in and go another little train here into the start-finish line and back into turn 1.
Eklund is in the pits, and he's coming out right now, but he overshot his pit stall. So that's going to cost him. I can see the other drivers passing up. That cost him a lot of seconds there, Joe.
I'm sorry, Bill, but action is everywhere. João Freitas and Jan Koemans managed to get by Yaman, but now Yaman's trying to come back. He's looking around the outside of 4, and he just doesn't have the grip and the speed, and so Koemans takes it. But yeah, Freitas just was on the wrong side coming out of that final corner, and then made good of it because he was getting good launches everywhere. He was ready to get by, and now Koemans, as we've seen, he's had the pace. If he can get by Freitas, he is going to be freed up to try and run down Sergio Mora, who, I might add, has been running slightly faster laps than Mora at this point.
Yeah, if we talk about Freitas again, he made up a ton of time on the Koemans pit. And then he also made up a ton of time when Amjad Yaman pitted. Now, again, Yaman and Koemans are very good. I really got to worry that Freitas is short-filled. We'll have to keep an eye on it and see if he has enough. Back to you, Joe.
I'm getting word that Oki Stokenberg might have had a crash. Let's see if we can get more information about that. Whoa, Koeman's really closing up under braking, and now he goes wide. And I thought I saw some smoke from a spinning car or something ahead of them, so there could be trouble. I don't see what exactly happened. They're coming up on, looks like Tuomas Hallinen ahead of them, so they got lap traffic to deal with, but Koeman's very eager to get by at this point, looking for any opportunity with 27 laps gone.
Yeah, it's been a very crazy race so far, Joe. We saw Kevin O'Keefe having cars just shooting around him. I don't think he's made his pit stop yet, and if he is really that far out of the pace, at least he's being respectful to get out of the way of these battles that are forming over the track. Jans Koeman and Freitas also need to be a little more careful because, as you saw when they were in their battle back there, they almost took each other out going across the kink. That is a very tricky corner to get right when you have a car bearing down right on the inside of your rear tires there. I'm just seeing smoke all over the track, so it appears that cars are dropping tires off, which would suggest that they are driving very aggressively and very intensely. This is really going to be an epic battle for the finish as we see more cars pulling off to the side to let these leaders through. Jans Koemans is all over the back of Freitas, and oh, I see a car might have had contact. Amjad Yaman goes wide, another car spins. There is this car shooting through the grass. Freitas looks to have gotten past, Jan Koeman's got past, and Amjad Yaman tucks back in, just barely makes it. We're going to go back 1 second and I'll let you know what happened there.
Yeah, I was watching that one unfold again, and Amjad Yaman was just not catching the brakes, just clipped Joseph Arrow trying to go around the outside of him. Didn't quite give him enough room, unfortunately, and that sent him out in the grass. I'm not sure if he damaged his car much, but he definitely lost a bunch of time there, and his race has definitely gone sour at this point.
It's really unfortunate for Amjad Yaman, if I remember right, he's been having a little bit of trouble in all of his races, and it's not necessarily drivers there. It just seems to be like he is in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's a very fast and very consistent driver. He's always in the top 5, top 6 of the pack, so that would be a really bad blow for him if that ended up being a costly contact that's going to hurt him in the points chase. Right now I'm watching Richard Eklund as he's trying to make up some of that time. I don't know if he got a little rattled by that craziness, but there's a huge gap between him and Jans Koeman, and it looks like Koemans and Freitas are going to try and just make up that time on Sergio Mora, who is apparently avoiding all of the drama. Right now it looks like, was that João Freitas? No, it was not. I saw a car go off to the right there. Joe, did you catch who that was?
Yeah, unfortunately, there was some drama between Arthur Chan and I believe that was Thomas Torp, and it was right in front of João Freitas and Jan Koemans, who are still battling it out. But as these guys try to sort it out, because they separated themselves just a little bit now, I believe we have Bill's backmarker salute ready to go.
Thank you. The backmarker salute is brought to you by Eagle's Nest Tavern in Green Valley Lake. If you're in the area, stop in and say hello. I'm going to start the clock right now. We're starting our backmarker salute with Jonathan Kerr, the Roadster Loyalist. He's currently running in 7th place. You see him in that yellow car. He has company in the roster, though, this recently, as Garth Prentice from New Zealand also drives it. Let's go up one more position, up to Ben Tucker. Ben Tucker's currently in 26th, and he's in a battle right now. We can take a look. We got 3 guys in a battle. So let's spend a little time here in this backmark salute with Ben Tucker, Kevin O'Keefe, and Mihai Masisa. They're running right now 26th, 25th, and 24th in reverse order. Mihai Masisa is, of course, an IRT judge. He's off this week. He's not on duty. And Kevin O'Keefe, this is his first race for him. Let's leave that battle for a second. Go up one more as I have a little more time left on the clock with 16 seconds. We go up to Thomas Hallinan. Now, he's very fast. He's had some trouble this race, and he's back in 23rd position. And we got time for one more driver as we move up one more spot to Chuck Johnson, currently running in 22nd. He's a veteran of the series, and he's in a battle right now with Arthur Chan. So there's action going on at the front. There's action going on at the back. We'd like to give a little attention to those back markers. They are part of the race. Okay, back to you, Joe.
Well, in the meantime, João Freitas, it's back to status quo because Jan Koemans got by him as soon as I handed it over, and now João Freitas gets him right back out of the chicane. And in the midst of all this battling, Richard Eklund all the way up to 4th. Now he's got these 2 right in his sights. If he can get by, he has got a 2nd place up for grabs here. Also worth noting, Sergio Mora, before the trouble that Jan and João had run into before, he was about 5 seconds ahead, so they were gaining on him, but because of them slowing each other up, they're now about 7, 8 seconds back, so they're starting to lose ground. Sergio is going to absolutely relish these guys nuking it out, Brian.
Yeah, and that is so true in the situation for a track like Road Atlanta. One battle can single-handedly ruin a race for one driver that's stuck behind them, while at the same time giving the leader a huge advantage. It looks like Richard Eklund and Jans Koeman might have got a little bit of contact in the hard braking zone. If they don't stop battling here, Freitas might pull away from them, and that will be very difficult to make up that kind of time in the heat of the battle that we're seeing here between the 2 drivers there, Joe.
9 laps to go. I think these guys have been taking a page from Harry Hogg because apparently for these 2, Ruben is racing. I think they made some side-by-side contact there. Richard Eklund is recovered and is trying to come back at Jan Koemans, still looking for that podium finish. And I really think with so few laps to go, especially as how quick these things are going to reel off, this is the battle we want to stay with. This final podium spot, Sergio Mora having checked out, this is the highest, closest battle we've got going on right now.
I just saw something happen. I'll get you right back there, Joe, but it looks like as Trevor Mack and I believe it was Joshua Lloyd's try to go around a back marker. I believe it's one of the Tucker boys, Ben Tucker, in the subway car spins out in the turn 1 as the 2 go flying past. Hopefully there's no damage done to any of those cars. That is a very unfortunate spot to have a spin, Joe, in turn 1.
Yeah, it's an incredibly fast corner, and you know, usually if you get off, or especially if you overcorrect or something, your race is done because that barrier is very close. Even though they've got the sand trap there, the speed that you're coming in, it's so easy to just chuck it into the wall accidentally. Still watching this front battle. Richard Eklund is starting to lose ground, but Jan Koemans is definitely not. I think these guys both have had the pace on Freitas for this entire race because he has had to go defensive so many times, but he's just driving immaculately, holding these guys off. And if he can hold on to this second place, I have to say he'd have my drive of the race.
Yeah, drivers who've been watching the series know that the last couple races, Eklund's had some trouble, and actually he's been hit by 3 consecutive IRT penalties. He is a hair's distance away from a penalty. He really needs to behave himself here in this battle.
So maybe that's why he's backing it up just a little bit, going into the braking zone. Is Koeman's going to make a dive? Yes, he looks to the inside, tries to sneak by Freitas, and he does it. And now Koemans is looking on the outside, gives a little bit of room. It looks like he's got that in the back of the mind, like you mentioned there, Bill, because he backed out of what could have been the momentum to give him a spot, and now he's lost it, and he's losing touch here as Koemans tries to pull away, and it looks like Freitas isn't going to let that happen as the draft starts to reel him back in. 34 laps down now, Brian, I'm sorry.
It's quite all right there, Joe. Right now, I mean, we were talking about Freitas positioning his car well throughout this race to hold up Koemans and Eklund. That just goes to show the quality of drivers here in this series. We'll see that at times, maybe not the fastest driver will be in the front of the race because he is thinking consciously where is my car and how can I slow the guy down that's trying to pass me? And Yao Freitas is an expert at just that. He knows exactly where on the track he needs to put the car. Yes, he's a very fast and consistent driver, maybe not today. However, he is not letting Cummins go without a fight as they come down the back stretch into the turning zone. He looks outside, he looks inside. This is going to be a very ambitious pass. Does he make it? He does not, as he'll tuck back in behind Cummins, as Eklund now is going to try and get him on the backstretch into the dogleg here. It looks like Freitas may have unsettled his car a little bit as he lost a little bit of time. Richard Eklund is going to try and get inside, and does he make it? He is not going to make it. He tucks back inside Freitas. This is turning into quite the battle with only 6 laps remaining.
Eklund nearly timed that to perfection. He did exactly what you need to do when... Oh, and Cummins is off. Cummins is off on turn 1, and he's into the wall. Cummins is out of this race, or at least he is very far set back now, and Freitas only has 1 car, and then there were 2, Brian.
Yes, that was a very unfortunate accident. That's the kind of mistake that you cannot be making here at this track, Road Atlanta, especially in the short configuration. You're taking a track that's already very quick as far as lap times go, and you're cutting a good chunk of the length off. Right now, it looks like Freitas and Eklund are going to be the only 2 left in this battle, and Richard is not going to go without a fight. Freitas is looking to defend, and it looks like Richard's going to try and go inside. He tucks back in. I think Richard has been doing the right thing here as he is just looking for the right moment to pass, and I think maybe he will get him by the end of this race, Joe.
And he keeps having that better launch because of him taking a more desirable line through that chicane, and that's really tough. You've seen that with a number of drivers throughout the race. As Eklund looks to the inside once again in turn 1, I was going to say that's a very scary place to try and get inside somebody. But yeah, that final chicane, you got to watch drivers because if you get a good launch, you can just blow by someone on the final right-hander. But you gotta be on the right side, literally the right side, because you know, the left side you're not going to be able to stream past. You're going to be at a disadvantage. You have to lift, whereas the other guy has got the more desirable line through there. They're coming back to that chicane once again. Let's see if he takes another try. I noticed last time, Brian, that Eklund braked much earlier than Freitas. I guess he decided he didn't want to you know, force the issue and have another contact situation.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that drivers will try to do. It's kind of a constant decision making process that comes into the hard braking zones. Do you want to brake early and try and make up that time where you can just kind of like sneak your way through the corners, or do you want to get all over the back of the guy and hope that you timed it just right, that you can get a good run coming out of the corner? Either way, you can make up a considerable amount of time if it goes all right, but if it goes as planned or not as planned, excuse me, if it goes not as planned, you're going to make a big error that's going to cost you some time. I believe Bill does have some information on Cummins. Bill, what do you got for us?
Yeah, because this has championship ramifications here. Cummins was able to drive it off the wall, but he's really, really damaged. He just got passed by Leutz for 7th place, and he's going to be lucky if he can salvage a top 10 out of this. Now, that's not his nature, but I got to give him a lot of credit for trying to grit this out and make lemonade out of lemons here. Back to you, Joe. And he's on the grass as we speak right now. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, and you know, I have to say maybe he's learned from last season, Bill, because we saw this same, or at least similar problem where he would, you know, win one race and then be 25th the next. And that's what bit him in the end, is it hurt his score to keep finishing so far down. And I think he knows he's got to soldier on and make whatever points up that he can. Meanwhile, let's go back to Joao Freitas and Richard Eklund, because now Eklund is on the right side of the track, coming in the final turn. They're going side by side through there, Brian, and he's just about got it, but he has to back out, and he loses the momentum.
Freitas is not looking scared at all. It is very very hard to rattle Freitas in a track like this. Last week in the interview, I asked him how does he feel about Road Atlanta and what's his game plan coming in here, and he said he didn't really know. His 2 favorite cars to drive are the MX-5 and the Radical SR8, and it's just really showing that he maybe is a lot more comfortable. Maybe he doesn't have the pace today, but he is definitely putting the car in the right place to keep him in the position and not give up any time or ground to Richard Eklund, who I do believe is a lot faster. Also, looking back into the 9th and 10th position, I'm looking at McAleer and Wooten. These guys have been going on for quite a while now. We've been meaning to cut back, but we've been very enamored by this race up here with Freitas. But with McAleer going down through the kink section. Both cars get a little up on the two wheels as they hit that bump very hard.
I'm sorry to cut in. Let's head back to that battle because Freitas just got his wheels into the dirt and that hurt his braking. Now Eklund has got the pace coming out of the corner, but he's on the opposite side this time. Let's see if he can hold on to it. He's off into the grass, keeps it pointed straight, but once again he loses the momentum. I'm sorry to cut in there, Brian. I thought maybe the pass was going to finally come.
Yeah, it's funny that we see that happen, unfortunately, or maybe funny is not the right word, but Richard Eklund has been kind of a daredevil lately with the last couple of races. We've been seeing him just going wide, coming onto the start-finish line and throwing those tires off, but every time he seems to have complete control of the car, and everyone knows that when you put two tires down on the grass, it is very hard to slow down, especially for a corner like Turn 1 at Road Atlanta, and he is just showing that he has what it takes to be aggressive and really go for it. Yao Freitas is going to look to defend here on the back straight once again as we come down into the chicane at Road Atlanta.
We're going to hold on this as long as we can, but Sergio Mora is going to take the white flag very soon. Eklund once again backing out of it. He's going to run out of chances. At this point, he's really going to get one more good shot at the chicane next time by. And once again, he's so much better out of that chicane. Just gets a very good launch, but can't quite position his car, can't quite just time it right. This time, he gives himself the right line out of there, and you can see Freitas knows it. He's going to try and get up on the inside, coming through Turn 1. Is he going to actually attempt this? Yes, he outbrakes him. Freitas gives him the spot, and there goes Richard Eklund on by. Well done. But now Freitas is going to try to come back on the outside, which is going to switch to the inside into 3. Is he going to be able to outbrake him side by side through here? Doesn't always work. Eklund holds onto it. Well done. Just scrapes the grass, but keeps the track position that he needs.
That was a great pass, and like I said during the opening stage in the race, Turn 1 is a very tricky turn to pass, so the fact that Freitas made a little bit of a mistake there and went a little too far before turning in gave Richard the opening that he needed to get through there. And once that happened, once that pass was initiated...
I'm really sorry, Brian, but Sergio Mora has gone through the chicane, and he's coming down to the start-finish line now. He's getting ready to take the checkered flag. He was unbothered the entire race. Round 5 goes to Sergio Mora at Road Atlanta short course. Well done to Sergio.
And we come back to Richard Eklund real quick. It looks like Freitas is going to throw in the towel and pass up, but is something wrong with the car? It looked like Amjad Yaman also went flying right past. I did not see what happened. Bill, did you get anything, any information on that?
I didn't see it, but I'm going to take a guess that it's fuel.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
That might be a good point. As he said earlier in the race that Koeman's put down a 17-second stop, and it looked like Freitas put down a 13-second stop, so maybe he just shorted himself on fuel. That is a very valid point there, Bill. Thank you for that information.
Looks like we have Timo coming in at 8th place. Brad Wooden and Sam McAleer in a close battle as they come across. Wooden has it for 9th and 10th, and you know who they got in front of. He couldn't salvage a top 10 as Jan Koeman's limping across in 11th, but that 11th is much better than 25th. Back to you, Joe.
Well, it's been a very heated but awesome race. I was impressed with the driving all around. But real quick, that was top 5 once again before we go to break. Sergio Mora won, Richard Eklund took 2nd, Amjad Yaman took 3rd, João Freitas just lost fuel at the end and came home 4th, with Thomas Sabo completing the top 5. I believe we are going to go to break here real soon, and then we'll come back with interviews and the unofficial results. Welcome back to the GreenValleyLake.com MX-5 World Tour, where we just witnessed round 5 at the Road Atlanta short course, won by Sergio Mora. An excellent race there. Real quick, we'll go through the standings. Sergio Mora finished first, as we said. Richard Eklund came in second. Amjad Yaman took home third. João Freitas was fourth. Thomas Szabo in fifth. Josh Loitz took home a well-earned sixth. Trevor Mack in seventh. Timo Tuliainen in eighth. Brad Wooten in ninth. 10th was Sam McAleer. And Bill, what were the next 10?
Out of the 11th is Jan Koemans. 12th was Stefan Overgaard. 13th was Yuri Yanis. 14th, George Fike. 15th was Heinrich Lawrence, the youngster from South Africa. 16th, Joris Jelenko. 17th, Craig McKenzie, our newcomer, first time in the season, in the series. 18th was Dujan Bolden. 19th was Sky Willis. Nice job from her. And 20th place was Tuomas Halonen. That's not a good finish for him.
Absolutely not. Mihai Masesson finished 21st. Chuck Johnson was 22nd. Arthur Chan 23rd. Kevin O'Keefe 24th. Jonathan Keir 25th. Benjamin Lanawet 26th. Ben Tucker in 27th. Joseph Arrow in 28th. Oki Stokenberger in 29th. Very bad finish for him. Jake Tucker in 30th. Tom Ratchi in 31st. Then Kim Vader in 32nd. And finally Sean Byrne wrapping out the field in 33rd. We do have some interviews, and first and foremost is Jan Koemans, who unfortunately did not have a good finish today for his standards, and I believe Bill is going to talk to him.
Okay, Jan, they're limiting me to 2 questions, so I won't burn one by asking you if you can hear me. I saw you go off track. What happened?
I think I went off more than once, Bill. I think I went off twice in turn 1. It's just, I don't know, I'm used to driving the car with quite a lot of slip angle on corner entry, and it just doesn't work anymore, because once, if you put it back out a little too much, it just goes, and there's no catching it. So I'm still getting used to that. I mean, I'm trying to limit myself, but then every now and then I just go in by instinct, and it's too much, and then I just go off.
Now, I know your mindset. You have one speed, and that's to go fast. After the accident there, where you got it back on and your car was damaged, were you I don't know how to put this. Were you upset with what happened, or were you say, I'm going to make the best of this situation? Let me ask you this. Was there ever a thought of you retiring?
Well, I was going to try and make it round. I mean, the trick is when you have that much damage, it's never sure if you can stay on, because your steering wheel's all pointing the wrong way, and in right-hand turns, my right wheel wasn't on the ground anymore, so I had no traction. So anyway, I figured I could make it round. I was losing like 6-7 seconds a lap. Which was I looked on the screen, and I figured, well, I'll end up somewhere between 10th and 15th, which I figure is better than just retiring. So I just tried to make it round, and I just about made it, because my car started sputtering out of fuel on the way down, because I had that much more fuel consumption limping around like that. So yeah, just making the best of a bad situation.
Well, it's actually I think at the end of the season, we might be able to look back at this situation and see where that 11th place finish might be very important as far as the championship points goes. Jan, always a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck with you next time, okay?
Thanks, Bill. See you.
All right, back to you, Joe.
Well, we have one more person to talk to, and that is Richard Eklund, who finished second today. And Richard had a fierce battle with Zhao. Rich, we saw you make some moves that I don't think you... I guess you would have been a little bit more aggressive before. Was the penalty points that you have accrued in the back of your mind for most of this race?
Maybe. Not really, not when I was racing. I was just trying some different strategies, because I knew that too wide through the chicane loses way too much time.
It was quite a lot of back and forth between you and Zhao. There was a number of times where you had a good launch out of that last chicane. Were you just trying to time that one right, or you were looking for any opportunity at all?
I could have thrown it up the inside of the chicane a bunch of times, but I was just trying to force him to make a mistake so I could get a good exit. It worked a couple of times, and luckily on the last lap I got around him, but I guess it wouldn't have mattered anyway, since he apparently ran out of fuel on the last lap.
Yeah,
but it was really fun battling him anyway.
Well, it was a great show to watch, and we certainly enjoyed it up in the booth, and I'm sure our viewers did too. Sorry to have be short on questions today, but we've got another broadcast coming up quick. Thanks for talking to us, Richard.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, guys, it's been a great one around here. I've really enjoyed getting to hop in and step in for poor Richard Losper, who's a little bit under the weather today, so that's why I took over. But we want to thank a few people before we go. We want to thank the organizer, of course, Bill Zahn. Also, thank you to Cozy Cabins, Eagle's Nest Tavern, the Welcome in Bed and Breakfast for their sponsorship of this series. We appreciate them greatly. For more information about Green Valley Lake, the best kept secret in California's San Bernardino Mountains, visit green-valley-lake.com. We also thank, we did thank Bill Zahn a little bit before, I'm sorry. We also thank iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and Aver Media for providing the software and hardware we use for the broadcasts. Also, thanks to our team, Brian, Bill, and Giancarlo, and also to Kevin, who was behind the scenes spotting, and Richard was actually behind the scenes spotting as well, so he even stuck around. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, our website is www.globalsimracingchannel.com. You can find our broadcast schedule along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel and Twitter at GSR Channel. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with some of our great music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, and iTunes and Spotify. If you like the music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Also, thanks to Casey Lalonde, who provides us with the music for our highlight videos. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. The next race in this series will be the Brands Hatch race for the GreenValleyLake.com MX-5 World Tour. That kicks off at 1900 UTC. Our next broadcast will be the Piston Cup, and that will be tomorrow, and I believe that starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. We also have the Enduro Pro Series, which kicks off round 2 next week on Saturday. That will happen at 11 a.m. Eastern. However, we want you to join us in just a few minutes' time because our very next broadcast is our very special All-Star race, the All-Star Invitational, celebrating our first anniversary as a channel. So come watch us in a few minutes, and we are going to have a good time celebrating our birthday. But in the meantime, race hard, race safe, and we'll see you on the track.